Hello friends, welcome back to M's Language Academy. I'm M, and today I want to share with you my top 5 tips for transforming your pronunciation and bringing it to a whole new level. You know, the internet is full of videos where people promise students that they will sound native or natural, and I'm not going to do that today. I'm actually going to make a separate video about why I think it's not a good idea, not necessarily a good idea, to try to sound native. Or rather, it's for most English users, it's not important. I mean, if you're an actor and you want to star in Hollywood movies or on Broadway, then you absolutely need to sound like a native speaker. If you're working in customer support and most of your customers or clients are from an English-speaking country, you may want to or even have to sound like a native speaker. If you're living in an English-speaking country and you're tired of the constant questions of, oh, where are you from? No, where are you really from? Then you may want to sound like a native speaker. But this is not true for most people. Most people maybe need to speak English on holiday, or they talk to native speakers, but those native speakers are okay talking to foreigners. Or perhaps someone is working for an international corporation and there are people from different backgrounds with many different accents, right? In that case, you don't need to sound like a native speaker. What you absolutely do need, however, is to speak clearly, understandably, and with correct pronunciation. And that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, let's have a look at an example of bad English pronunciation. I want you to meet Matej, who's been learning English for some time, but he's been struggling with his English pronunciation. Hello, Matej. Hello. Matej, please read the sentences from the screen, okay? Yes, okay. It won't work with this mobile phone. The third word is very difficult. They don't want to go to work. Oh boy, sounds like we've got a lot of work ahead of us. But don't worry. In just 5 simple steps, you can make your English sound much better. So, without further delay, let's have a look at them. So, tip number 1, learn the difference between w and v. In other words, the pronunciation of w and v. Let's have a look at a few pairs of words. You should see them on the screen now, and I want you to stop the video and try saying these words. I'll wait. How did you do? Now, if both words in the pairs sounded the same, then you need to pay extra attention to this tip. Okay? Remember that when a word is spelt with W, we pronounce it as W. W. It's a very soft sound, and the position of the mouth at the beginning is as if we wanted to say oo, but then we change our mind at the very last moment. So, w, w. For example, wheel, whale, wary, west, wet. Now, if a word is spelled with a V, then we have to pronounce it v, v. It's a very hard v sound that is very common in most Central and Eastern European languages. For example, veal, veil, very, vest, vet. Okay? Now, if you have trouble with this, remember the word interview. Interview. It has both of those sounds, and it probably sounds very similar in your language. Interview, interview. All right. Now let's go back to those minimal pairs. Read them again and pay attention to the difference between w and v. Don't forget to stop the video. I'll wait. All right, how did you do? Well, I hope what you read sounded something like wheel, veal, whale, veil, wary, very, west, vest, wet, vet. See? It's not that hard. All right, here's the second tip. Soften your pronunciation of the letter R. In many European languages, this letter is very hard. R, r, very rigid, right? In English, it's different. The problem with R is that it behaves differently in different varieties of English. In British English, it can be very confusing. It sometimes doesn't appear where we would expect it, in words like car, star, word, or world, right? And then it appears in places where we don't expect it. For example, in phrases such as law and order, or I saw a movie. I saw a movie. If your goal is to learn British English and speak naturally, whatever that means, you need to understand when these things happen. But if your goal is simply to speak nicely and clearly, you're not worried about sounding British, it's okay to say r, r, whenever this letter appears in a word. That's how it's done in America, Canada, Ireland. Let's practice together. Repeat after me. Rita wrote a review for the restaurant. Rory roared and ran around the room. Rita wrote a review for the restaurant. Rory roared and ran around the room. If this is difficult for you, you can do it again and again. You can rewatch this part of the video and then practice alone. You can record yourself and then listen to it, okay? And do this again and again until you're certain that you got it right. This is a very useful tip for any sort of pronunciation exercises. All right, rule number 3. Your O's must be nice and round. Try reading this sentence. I suspect many of you said something like, don't focus on your mobile phone. But the thing to remember is that when the letter O appears in an English word, it often sounds like this. O, O, O. People find it easier with some words like no, go, home, but then they don't do it with other words like mobile phone, focus, don't, won't. And this mistake could be very confusing because the word want, I want something, sounds a little bit similar to won't, right? And if you don't pronounce won't correctly, it can be very confusing because I want to do something and I won't do something. Those are two completely different messages. You could even say they are opposites. So you have to be very careful. All right, let's practice those difficult words that crop up in my lessons again and again, over and over. So, repeat after me. Mobile phone, mobile phone, focus, don't, won't, and my personal favorite, hotel, hotel. All right, Let's practice with a few sentences. Read the sentences off the screen and pay attention to the proper pronunciation of the O sound. Stop the video, I'll wait. Okay, I hope you sounded something like this. No, I won't take a photo of the hotel with my mobile phone. One more time. No, I won't take a photo of the hotel with my mobile phone. Don't focus on combing your hair. Don't focus on combing your hair. All right, I suspect this one will be difficult for many of you. So remember, practice it again and again. Record yourselves and then listen to it and do this until it's perfect. Number 4. Learn to pronounce the words word, work, worse, the worst, and world. People tend to pronounce them like this. Word, work, worse, the worst, and world. Sometimes I've also heard work, world, which is no better. In British English, in these words specifically, we use a sound called schwa. It's very common in English. The sound itself, it's actually a word. It's the indefinite article. Listen, a table, a chair, a pencil, a wall, a computer. And we sometimes use it in the middle of words, such as bird, third, heard, dirty, word, work, worse, the worst, and so on. Now, if this feels uncomfortable, I understand. Another way of dealing with these difficult words is to do it the American way, which is by lengthening the R sound, okay? Basically, imagine that the letter O is not there, and you will end up with work, word, worse, the worst, and world, which is perfectly fine. Again, let's practice together. Repeat after me. Word, work, worse, the worst, and world. It's not British English, but it's clear and it's understandable and it's correct. Number 5. This one is probably the most difficult, but it's no less important. Use the TH sound. It's probably the most problematic sound in the language, but learning it makes an unbelievable difference. I think most people struggle with it because they have a mental block. They feel embarrassed because in some countries, doing that is considered a speech impediment, right? If you're one of these people, pay very close attention and practice this a lot. Practice in front of the mirror, and also remember to record yourself saying words and sentences that contain a lot of the th sounds. Today I want to teach you how to do it properly. You know, now there's no one watching you, so you can do it at your own pace while you're safe and secure. So there are actually 2 varieties of this sound, the soft th, th, and the hard the. Let's start with the soft one. The first thing we're going to do is make this sound. S, s, like a snake or a leaky pipe. S, s. Very good. Now we'll make the same sound, but our tongue will slightly touch the upper front teeth, basically, like this. Th, th, th. See, I'm still kind of saying s, but the tongue is in the way. Th, 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 th. Okay, let's practice with a few words. Repeat after me. mouth, mouth, both, both, path, path, thick, thick, thumb, thumb, think, think, throw, throw, three, three. Very good. You can actually see my tongue a little bit sticking out the tiniest bit, right? Now let's practice with the sentence. You can repeat after me. I think my mouth is thin, but both my thumbs are thick. I think my mouth is thin, but both my thumbs are thick. Very good. Now the hard TH sound. We start with the sound Z, 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 Z. And now we will do the same thing that we did before. Our tongue will just slightly touch the back of our front teeth. The. Our mouth has to vibrate very slightly. Okay, so Z, and then our tongue is in the way. The. Now let's practice with words. Repeat after me. Mother, father, brother, bother, with, without, whether, this, and that. Very good. Now let's have a sentence. Again, repeat after me. This weather bothers the mother, the father, and the brother. This weather bothers the mother, the father, and the brother. All right. It was a lot of information, but we're done. Now, let's get back to Mate. Mate, have you been paying attention? Why don't you read our practice sentences again? It won't work with this mobile phone. The third word is very difficult. They don't want to go to work. Excellent. Great work, Mate. As you can see, Mate doesn't sound like a native speaker, and that's fine. But he sounds clear and understandable. If you can do that, you're on the right track and you don't have to worry about your accent too much. Right, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you found it interesting, please like, subscribe, and all the good stuff. You can also watch my other pronunciation video, which you can find right here. By the way, if you thought this video was a waste of time, let me know in the comments. I'll see you soon, and in the meantime, remember that you don't have to be perfect, but you can always do better. Bye.